I'm Joanne, sitting here in my cozy Portland apartment, looking at the mug on the shelf. I'm reminded of how far I've come. That white ceramic mug with the black lettering, "World's Most Pointless Woman," was the catalyst that changed my life forever. It's hard to believe that was a year ago. It all started on Mother's Day. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. Just like every other morning. My husband, Ryan, and I had been married for 12 years, and we had a 15-year-old son named Ethan. I slipped out of bed quietly so as not to wake Ryan. He had an important business meeting later, and he needed his rest. I made my way downstairs in the dark. Those early hours were mine, a brief moment of peace before the demands of the day began. I started making breakfast. Ryan liked his coffee strong, so I measured out 2 scoops per cup and set the timer to finish brewing at 6:45, when he usually came down. While the coffee machine gurgled, I pulled out fresh blueberries, eggs, and thick, cut bacon from the fridge. Ethan preferred this kind of bacon, so I fried it until it was crispy but not burnt, just the way he liked it. I mixed pancake batter from scratch because the boxed kind never tasted right. I sliced strawberries and arranged them on the good china plates, the ones we only used for special occasions. I wanted this Mother's Day to be special, to make them notice all the love and effort I put into our family. I set the table with care, forks on the left, knives on the right, and napkins folded into triangles. I used the crystal bowl that Ryan's mother gave us as a wedding gift for the fruit salad. I polished the bowl with my apron to remove a couple of smudges before filling it. Ethan's soccer uniform was hanging by the door, washed and pressed. His cleats were clean, and I had replaced the laces last week when I noticed they were fraying. His water bottle was filled and waiting in the fridge. I had double-checked the game schedule to make sure I had the right time written down. The game was at 2 p.m. at the home field, and I would be there in the bleachers, cheering him on, as I always did. Ryan walked into the kitchen first, wearing the suit I had ironed for him the night before. Ethan followed, still in his pajamas, his hair sticking up in all directions. Neither of them wished me a happy Mother's Day right away. Instead, they exchanged a look, a secret glance that made my stomach tighten with a strange sense of dread. Ethan pulled out his phone and pointed it at me. I thought maybe he wanted to take a nice picture for social media, to show what a thoughtful son he was. Ryan held a plain plastic bag from the corner store, not wrapped, not even a gift bag. My heart sank, but I kept smiling. Smiling had become my default, a mask to hide my discomfort and disappointment. Ryan handed me the bag with a wide, eager grin. I reached inside and felt something ceramic. For a split second, I allowed myself to hope it would be something meaningful, like "World's Best Mom." But when I pulled out the mug and read the words, "World's Most Pointless Woman," my heart shattered. That's when they started laughing. Their laughter filled the kitchen, echoing off the walls I had painted myself 3 years ago. Ryan bent forward, gripping the edge of the counter for support, as if the joke was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. Ethan had tears streaming down his face, still recording me with his phone. I stood there, holding the mug, my mind struggling to process what was happening. This couldn't be real. There had to be a punchline, a hidden meaning. But there was none. This was their idea of a Mother's Day gift. I opened my mouth to say something, but instead, I heard myself laugh. It was a hollow, empty laugh, a learned response after years of being the good sport. Ryan looked relieved. "See, she gets it. I told you she'd think it was funny," he said. Ethan nodded and put his phone in his pocket. They sat down at the table and started eating the breakfast I had made, talking about Ryan's meeting and Ethan's upcoming soccer game as if nothing had happened. They didn't thank me for the food, for the effort I had put into making their lives comfortable. As I stood there, watching them, something inside me shifted. It was like a door closing, a decision made without conscious thought. I was done. I set the mug down on the counter and began clearing the table. Ryan and Ethan didn't offer to help. They just sat there, waiting for me to clean up. I washed the dishes by hand, even though we had a perfectly good dishwasher. The mechanical act of scrubbing the plates gave me something to focus on while my mind raced. I looked out the window at the garden I had planted and nurtured. The flowers were in full bloom, a beautiful sight, but I felt so empty inside. That night, after they had gone to bed, I sat down at my laptop and booked a one-way ticket to Portland. It was far enough away that Ryan wouldn't think to look for me, and I had never been there before. It was a chance to start over, to become someone new. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a ghost in my own home. I continued with my daily routines, packing Ethan's lunch, ironing Ryan's shirts, but all the while, I was secretly preparing to leave. I transferred small amounts of money from our joint account to a new account I had opened at a different bank. By the end of the first week, I had moved $800, enough to get me started in Portland. On the morning of my departure, I made breakfast as usual. Ryan mentioned his meeting, and Ethan talked about his soccer game. They didn't notice the suitcase in the trunk of my car, hidden under an old blanket. After they left, I walked through the house one last time. I didn't cry. I just felt a sense of calm resignation. I closed the door behind me without locking it. Let Ryan deal with that when he came home to an empty house. I drove to the airport with a steady hand. The airport parking fees added up as I signed a lease for a furnished studio apartment in southeast Portland. The landlord, an elderly woman named Mrs. Jenkins, met me at the building. She didn't ask any questions, just handed me the keys and showed me around. The apartment was small but cozy. It had a combined bedroom and living area, a small kitchenette, and a tiny bathroom. The furniture was mismatched but clean. I unpacked my single suitcase, hanging my clothes in a small closet and putting my toiletries in the bathroom cabinet. That first evening, I walked to the corner market. I filled my basket with foods I actually liked: sharp cheddar cheese, sourdough bread, and strawberries. I cooked a simple dinner of cheese, bread, and strawberries and ate it on the fire escape, watching the sunset over the unfamiliar rooftops. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. It was a feeling of freedom I had never experienced before. I updated my resume, translating my years of household management into corporate-sounding skills. I applied to several marketing positions in Portland. I got a few rejections, but then I had an interview with a company called Green Horizon Marketing. The hiring manager, a woman named Lily, was different. Instead of asking why I had taken time off, she asked what skills I had developed during that time. I explained how I had coordinated school fundraisers, managed the household budget, and handled various family crises. She was impressed and offered me the position on the spot. A few weeks later, I saw a Facebook post from Ryan. He had posted a picture from our last family vacation with a caption asking people to tell me they wanted me home. He claimed that he and Ethan missed me and were sorry. The post had hundreds of reactions and comments, mostly from people expressing sympathy for him. I created a fake Facebook account to watch his performance without him knowing. Most people believed his story, thinking I was the unstable one who had inexplicably left my family. But then, a woman named Lisa, someone I barely knew from Ethan's elementary school, commented, "Has anyone considered asking why she left?" That one question made me realize that there were still people who could see beyond Ryan's manipulation. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I reactivated my Facebook account and posted a picture of the mug with the caption, "On Mother's Day, my husband and son gave me this mug." They laughed like it was a joke. I smiled, cleared the table, and washed the dishes. That night, I booked a one-way ticket. To everyone asking where I went somewhere I am not pointless. The post went viral. Women from all over reached out to me, sharing their own stories of being devalued in their relationships. The narrative around Ryan's post shifted dramatically. People started asking questions about his behavior, and his carefully constructed image began to crumble. Ryan tried to do damage control, posting a long statement claiming the mug was a joke taken out of context. But most people saw through his lies. His friends stopped engaging with his posts, and his professional reputation took a hit. A few days later, I received an email from Ethan. It was formal, clearly reviewed by Ryan. He said he didn't understand why I left and asked if we could talk. I replied, telling him I loved him but needed space to rebuild my life. I also explained that what happened on Mother's Day was not a joke. A few days after that, I got another email from Ethan. This time, it sounded more like him. He apologized and asked if he could visit me. I was overjoyed and quickly sent him my address. The preliminary divorce hearing was a nerve-wracking experience. Ryan's attorney tried to minimize my contributions and maximize his entitlement. But my attorney, Ms. Harris, was fierce. She presented evidence of my career sacrifice, the unpaid domestic labor I had done, and the emotional mistreatment I had endured. The judge listened carefully to both sides and then made her decision. She granted me temporary spousal support of $3,000 per month, pending the final divorce settlement. It was a vindication, a recognition of my value that I had been waiting for. With the support payments, I was able to reduce my hours at work and focus on other aspects of my life. I enrolled in a professional certification program and started therapy with Dr. Anderson. She helped me understand the patterns of abuse in my marriage and taught me how to take up space again. Ethan visited me regularly. We had many honest conversations about what had happened. He was growing into a kind and thoughtful young man, and I was proud of him. He told me that Ryan was dating someone new, but that the woman seemed to be struggling with Ryan's high expectations. I'm now working on writing my memoir, World's Most Pointless Woman: How I Left and Found My Purpose. It's been a difficult process, revisiting those 12 years of my life, but it's also been healing. The book is set to be published soon, and the early reviews are promising. Looking back, I realized that the mug was not the cause of my leaving. It was just the final straw. I was no longer willing to be the pointless woman in my own life. I've rebuilt myself, found my voice, and created a life that I truly love. I am Joanne, and I am enough.